Hey everyone, it's Jack here at TalkNorwichCity. Hope you're all doing very well indeed. The next championship fixture has rolled round. Not too much time to fret over what we saw Tuesday night against Reading. We go up against Preston at Carrow Road this Saturday. A fascinating team in Preston. We'll be getting onto that shortly. A big thanks to BetMate, who have been sponsoring our preview content throughout this season. You guys know who BetMate are now. They are a brilliant fantasy football type betting platform. You can go up against different people, your friends. We like to do a little TNC league on BetMate. We've got a league for this weekend's games. They're going to be the 3 o'clock championship fixtures. Here is how you join the league. It's a £2 entry and there is a guaranteed £100 payout. I've been lucky enough to win a couple of them this season. I know a few of you have as well. Good fun against your friends. Myself and Chris's teams on screen now. We're both going with Cruel, and then Chris is going with Aaron's, and I'm going with Hanley. I can't see there being too many Norwich City or too many goals in general in our game this weekend. So we've gone big on the Norwich City defence. The code to play is in the description, as well as a link to get you £5 worth of free bets when you sign up. BetMate, a big thank you. You have to be 18 plus to play. Preston then, genuinely incredible how few goals there's been in their games this season. Let me just read you the results, and I'm not repeating any over more than once. 0-0, 0-0, 1-0, 0-0, 0-0, 0-0, 1-0, 0-1, 1-1, 0-2, 0-0, 1-0. I think there's been 8 clean sheets from their 12 games so far this season. They've scored just 4 goals. It's genuinely remarkable. Obviously very astute at the back, that goes without saying. Also don't score too many either. 4 goals conceded, 4 goals scored. They sit on 16 points in 11th place with a 0 goal difference. Genuinely remarkable. I think the only other team on a 0 goal difference is that of Swansea, and they've scored 15 and conceded 15. Just 8 goals involved in their 12 games this season. So Q a 4-3 this weekend. I think there was a lot of criticism, and maybe rightly so, after Tuesday's performance against Reading. It was probably the most dismal display we've seen from Norwich this season. I've quite enjoyed the majority of games that I've watched so far this season. I think Norwich have looked good in the majority of them, probably barring the first couple. Even against Hull and Cardiff, when we lost, we created chances, we had plenty of shots. That wasn't the same against Reading. We didn't have too many shots. I think we had 1 on target, and that was the goal. So that was a slight disappointment. I think Reading sussed us out. We didn't like them sitting too deep. I thought Andy Carroll was dominant in the first half, and we struggled with him. And just all over the pitch, I thought we looked very poor. I think that will change this weekend against Preston. I suspect it's going to be a very similar game plan from them. Low blocks. I know Dean Smith said in his press conference that he wants us to improve in those types of games against those types of opposition. I think we will do. We've been good at home this season. We've scored plenty of goals. We've looked very competitive against every team we've been up against. Of course, the last time we played at home was against West Brom. And even in that game, there was criticism, but I think despite the league position West Brom find themselves in, were one of the better sides that we've seen in the Championship this season. I think a sign of a champion is and I know I'm kind of using cliches here, but is when you can pick up points away from home despite not playing your best football. And I think we've done that a couple of times this season, either picked up points or won the game. And I think that's really important, because we saw with Watford, we saw with West Brom, we saw with Burnley, none of those. Watford lost, Burnley drew, or did they lose as well? I know they did. They certainly didn't win. These are the teams that the pundits and the media and even our fans expect us to be competing alongside, if not below, this season. Both Burnley and Watford are below us, both quite a few points away from us at time of speaking. And I know that will probably change, and they might pick up and we might drop off a little. But at the moment, I think we're very much performing above where people expected us to be. My season preview at the start of this season, I said I think we're going to win the league, and I still stand by that, if not second. I think we'll go up automatically, and I still stand by that. so many people disagreed. They were expecting us to be mid-table, and then suddenly now, when we're second in the division and going along really nicely, I think we're 8 games unbeaten, 9 games unbeaten. People are disappointed, and it's like, well, if you thought we were going to be mid-table at the start of the season, we're outperforming that by quite some distance, then surely we should be impressed. Now, I know there's room for improvement. My big concern, I'm sure replicated by a lot of people, is that of the midfield. I still think we look light there. I'm still waiting for Hayden to come in this fold and hopefully switch things up. Nunez, I thought, was very disappointing on Tuesday night. He gives the ball away a lot. I think it's the type of player he is, but he needs to be a bit cleverer in possession. I think the highlight for me was Liam Gibbs, and I think that's a huge thing for Norwich City, the fact that he's back in the mix. Dean Smith has said that he was really impressed with the numbers he put up on Tuesday night. I think he's become a very important player for Norwich, despite being so young and despite only really being introduced into the fold at the start of the season. So his return is a big one. The other concern for me is, how do we get the best out of both Pukki and Sargent? Because it's either one or the other at the moment. I think on Tuesday we didn't get the best out of either of them. I know Timu scored a couple of goals, and important goals in recent weeks, while we've kind of sacrificed Sargent out wide, but we saw, particularly in that big turn of results where we beat Huddersfield and Millwall, Sunderland, Sargent through the middle is very influential. So I'm really intrigued to see how Dean Smith handles that over the coming weeks and months, because you've got two clearly very good Championship players there, but you're sacrificing one, if not both, by playing them both. I look back to, what was it, December time last season, maybe slightly earlier, when we were playing 3 with Eder, Sargent and Pukki. I remember clearly, I think we lost away to West Ham, but that was one of our better performances of that season in the Premier League, and that one was when all 3 were playing. I think Eder, that was the game he got injured. If he can find a way with, I know it's not going to be Eder at this moment in time, then that will be brilliant. I look at the bench from that Reading game, and there are a lot of options. Let me just quickly run you through who was on the bench against Reading. You got Hernandez, Dowell, Sinani, and Hugill. Incredible amount of attacking options there. You've got Gibson, of course, who's probably not going to come into the fold at the moment. Gabriel Sara, a record signing, sat on the bench. You've got options to switch this up. So it's going to be intriguing to see how Dean Smith attacks that, because clearly there's going to need some little tactical tweaks in the next few weeks. But I'm confident going into this Preston game. It's going to be, well, if we're going off data, a very low scoring one. And I suspect it's not going to be pretty. But once again, I think Norwich are versatile. I think we've got players to cope with different situations, and I'm expecting good things. So I'm looking forward to it. I suspect Norwich will win. I hope we win. And if you are fancying a little flutter this weekend, then why not head over to our BetMate League and join Chris and I in that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.